Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Mad Capper and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. Today I want to showcase Bad KAZAR. I recently picked him up during the 2-time Sacred event. Many thanks to Chosen, who was able to pull 9 of my Sacred Shards and get me not only Altan but Bad KAZAR in the same pull. 2 amazing champions, but I rushed Bad KAZAR. I had him ready to go within 3 days, booked him out, and now I'm using them in multiple areas to great success. And I want to share that success today, show you how I use them. This is not a guide on how to build him, it's a guide on how I built him. If you want more information, definitely hit me up on Discord, hit me up during Twitch. I stream 3 or 4 days a week, or in the comments down below. I'd be more than happy to try to help you out. As far as Bad KAZAR himself, by the way, I should public service announcement. Yesterday, I was watching the Seahawks game. I'm a big fan. They clinched the division. I lost my voice screaming at the TV. There was laughter, there was tears, there was just sadness and joy all in the same game. I think I really missed football. I think I really missed doing that. Usually I go over to my buddies, obviously with COVID and him being in Calgary, makes it a little bit difficult, but we make do the way we can, and the show must go on the way it can. Sorry I didn't stream this morning. I had no voice this morning. It's come back. It's about 50%, so hopefully we're going to make it through this video. So let's talk about Bad KAZAR and where I use him. I use him in several different areas, and I really appreciate his abilities. So let's first take a look at him. We'll talk about his kit briefly. We'll talk about what makes him so special. And the first and foremost, and this is things that people don't normally mention, but his book value is through the roof. You can potentially get away with 2 books. This is all you need. I didn't, but you can. This is all you need. You need to get this down to 3-turn cooldown, 2 books. But even if you don't, even if you get the worst RNG ever, it's only 7, a legendary with only 7 books. We have an 18-book fusion legendary. We have a 20-book Alika, which I just did in my last video. So when you bring out a Bad KAZAR and he needs 7 books, yes please. So his toolkit here, as you can see, he removes all debuffs from all allies, so he's a cleanse. Then he places 2 continuous heal buffs on all allies for 2 turns. Big time heals. And places 2 poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns. Now that synergizes with his passive, which all allies inflict 20% more damage against targets under poison. And his Dark Sphere, if all the rest wasn't enough, attacks all enemies, heals this champion and all allies by 20% of the damage inflicted. Now, we don't have him built up to do any sort of damage on his A1, but it's just a kind of an added bonus. And you can build it out so he does a little bit of damage, not his primary skill ability. As if that weren't enough, he also has an increased ally crit rate in all battles by 25%. This is a pretty rare aura, and it really helps synergize in all the dungeons I use him in, and we'll show you that in a minute. His artifacts and stats are as such. He's got 69,431 HP, attack at 1815, 2219 defense, 267 speed. That's an important thing. We'll talk about that in a little bit. His crit rate, I would like to have him at 100% crit rate. Never hurts to do that extra damage, but I didn't need it. And so the gloves I needed for the speed just happened to not be crit rate gloves. If I pull speed gloves that are crit rate, I'll switch them out right away, and we'll get him to that 85 or higher, well, 75%, sorry, crit rate because of his aura. Sorry, yeah, because of his aura. Crit damage 131, again, weren't building for that, but that 263 debuff for resistance and 276 accuracy, both very important. The accuracy needed for most dungeons is well over the number, so we're good for that. And the resistance we use for the spider, we'll talk about that in the spider, or sorry, in the spider. Where am I? In Dragon. We'll talk about that when we do the Dragon run. And then for his masteries, and hopefully you'll be able to see this. I always mess up because I'm in the way. So let's just move me. Disappear for a little bit. So the key pieces here are you get down to this, which is increased speed by 6 for each enemy killed by this champion, up to 18, and it's across all rounds. This is important for Dragon, and we'll talk about that when we get there. War Master gives you that extra damage. And then we go down the support tree. The big thing here, turn meter, every time a buff cast by this champion is removed or expires. You have to know that in case you're trying to speed tune, because he's going to obviously speed buff himself. Every time those buffs expire, he's going to get that turn meter. And we have Spirit Haste, so increases speed by 8 for each dead ally. Huge for the dragon as well. We'll talk about that when we get there. Everything else pretty standard. We went for the Lore of Steel to get the extra speed opportunity because we do have speed buffs on him as well as accuracy. And yeah, just the extra chance to on duration is always nice on those poisons. So that's his kit. And where do I use them? Well, the first place and probably the most fun is actually in the spider dungeon. So the spider's den requires if I want, I can farm. I can do a 2-person farm with Tyrant and Miscreated Monster. But there are times that I just want to plow through as much as possible. You see how little silver I have? I need silver. And I actually have energy waiting to go. So right after this video, we're probably going to jump right in and do a whole bunch of spider runs to get me back silver, to get me more artifacts. Maybe for the first time in, I think we're up to 6 months now, I'll actually get a speed substat on a 6-star accuracy banner for High Elves. It's only been 6 months and about billion energy. Maybe this is the day. Fingers crossed. But so I want to plow through these as quickly as possible, and this is how we do it. And we're using Bad KAZAR as the lead so that we can actually take our 2 nukers and only bring them to 75% crit rate. So that allows them to stack their crit damage a little bit higher. Then we are also using the fact that he's putting poisons down to increase the damage by 20% that these do. On top of that, we're debuffing a defense down and weaken with our Venus, which is going to allow us to A, kill all the spiders with Royal Guard so that Cold Heart will properly use her A3. And we're using it for the fact that obviously we need to decrease defense and weaken in order to kill the spiders in one round. Then finally, Gerptuck, before the 2 nukers go, is going to put up his ability, which actually increases for each poison debuff on our champions. It's going to increase their damage by 7.5, so a total of 22.5. Is my math right there? That's going to allow them to do that extra damage again. So you're getting a whole bunch of extra damage. These 2 are going to nuke. They're going to do 50% roughly each on the spider, and then it's a one-shot deal. Not 100% that it happens in one shot. Sometimes Royal Guard will leave a spider open. If a spider opens, Cold Heart does her A2. But I have run it a few times and watched that, or we can miss the debuff from Venus. So far, it still survives, but I don't know if that's 100%. I haven't seen it fail yet, but that doesn't mean it can't. It's not technically 100%. So let's let it go. We'll show it to you here. Probably bring me back in. You know, no need to hide. So there we go. Defense down, everything goes. Boom, all the spiders gone. So now she only sees 3 spiders. She nukes it with her A3, and it's a 15-second. It's a little bit quicker if I have it on unlimited frames, but for recording video, I can't do that, so I bring it down to 60 frames per second. And boom, pretty simple. 15 seconds, pretty consistent, and away you go. Very nice. Thank you, Bad L. Not possible without him. Or dual Septimuses, which I don't have. So this is kind of like the budget way of doing the dual Septimus. So there's that. Next place we use them in is the dragon. Let's bring. Actually, you know what? Before we do the dragon, because the dragon's the piece de resistance, we actually use him in the Ice Golem Peak as well, and it's kind of for the same reasons. Even though he's weak affinity, his sustain with his heals and the extra damage allows this to work really well. So let's take a look at it. We'll talk about what we're doing. You can also do this build with Seer. This will actually allow Seer to kill both waves as well, but I find this one's a little bit more consistent. So boom, wave 1. An alternative to having Kymar as your slowest champion, you can also make Kymar your fastest champion and just manual his A1 on the first turn before hitting auto, and you get the same effect, and it's actually a little bit quicker on that second wave, just as an FYI. So now we get into this round, and the key here is that these guys are going to focus their attention on the ads, which is critically important. If they go down in time, then we actually get a really good time. It just depends on how quickly they can do it. Now you see those shields, you see the heals. Royal Guard, who's usually pretty squishy, is pretty survivable right now. We need that other guy to go down. If we can kill him, there he kills him. So watch this. Boom, hits it. And he's actually not going to lift him up because of our the ability that Lydia has. And then we're off to the races. And depending on how much damage you can do with your Royal Guard, he will actually hit him past any revive, which is even better. Here in this particular case, it's going to be a little bit longer because we didn't get past that threshold, but he's going to be dead right away. And the fastest run here is about 105 with this comp with my champions, and the slowest, that's probably 130 is usually the one. So pretty consistent run. It does very well. Sir Nick keeps them alive. It's if I get really bad RNG, then maybe Royal Guard dies there, but it's still Bad KAZAR can all but solo the Ice Golem, so not a big deal. So sorry, Lord Champfort, you've been replaced. It was fun for a while, Champfort. We had good times here in the Ice Golem, but it's over between us, and Bad KAZAR is my new bae. I apologize. Not really. Okay, so here's the most fun you have, because this is the pinnacle of efficiency, and this is using Bad KAZAR to farm both dragon while leveling up champs. You see I have a couple champs here. We got a nice little pull when we were I was going for these during the 10-time event. I wanted all 4. We're short 1, but we did get a Saito as a stand-in, so that's an added bonus, and I'm really excited to build all of these champions. They're in the queue to be built, so looking forward to that. But let's show you, this is the Bad KAZAR show, so let's show you what he can do in the dragon. And same thing, right? He's putting up that malice. Now, we talked about his resistance, and we talked about his accuracy. This is why I have his resistance higher here, so that he can resist most of the debuffs that these guys throw at him. The odd one might land, but A, he's strong affinity, and B, he's got that high resistance, which means a lot of this stuff, except for the dragon's stun, won't land. And that's a big piece to letting this go here, right? Weak hits all galore. It's not a fast, but it's definitely consistent. The other thing is, we've now lost all of our allies, so he's actually gained 24 speed, and that's why 267 was important. When you combine those allies dying, which gives him 24, and once he kills 3 of these champions, he gets 18. It allows him to go 3-1 versus the dragon, and that's why he survives, because he gets stunned, but then he takes a turn for continuous heal up, and then he takes a turn where he actually receives the continuous heal before the dragon takes another turn, so he doesn't run the risk of dying. So now look at him, he's super fast. He's got all that extra 42 speed, so he's over 300 speed. Going 3-1 on a 1-1 champ, it's a really easy calculation versus the boss. You don't worry about ticks because it's a 3-1. He's 3 times as fast as the boss, and I feel like it's like 305. Like the boss might be 101. I don't remember what the exact speed is, but I seem to recall that 267 was the important number. I could be making that up. I'm sure someone can correct me in the comments down below. But if that's not the case, but it's definitely having the 2 extra from the masteries, the extra speed is what really makes this happen. Now you can see, like if he had that 100% crit rate, he might be hitting them a little bit harder, but it's really the poisons doing their job. Here we go, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 before the dragon goes. So every time he's going to get those 3 turns, you're going to see here he's going to get stunned. Oh, well, the weak hit, so even better. Doesn't get stunned. Right, getting those poisons up, a huge piece of it. Boom, there's the stun. Turn 1 puts them up. Turn 2 heals himself to full, and he's just fine. Actually landed a weaken, which is a shock, but look, he can cleanse it every time. So even if he lands those abilities, he's just going to cleanse them at some point during the cycle. And here we go. He's going to get hit with the stun one more time here. Boom, stunned, but then he heals himself up, puts the poisons up. Dragon is nothing the dragon can do about it, but die. And there you go. We get 5782 experience every time. We get some extra for the championship training that's going on right now. Ooh, yes, please. I'm sure that'll double roll. Well, I mean, even if double rolls Axie, that might be the best thing I've received out of the Dragon Dungeon forever. So there you go. Those are the 3 main areas I use Bad KAZAR. He's also an amazing champion in the clan boss, but I'm not using him for that. Quite happy with my unkillable team. Don't really need him in there. Although it would be interesting, he can fit into unkillable because again, he's increasing damage because of the poisons, right? And he's able to cleanse. So if you're in a different comp than mine, where you need to cleanse the stun, for example, single Rosh card with Skull Crusher, is a good example. He can actually be tuned perfectly at 3 turns to be able to do that, and thus give you a really good team. Unfortunately, he doesn't work in 2-to-1. Well, he doesn't work as a cleanse in 2-to-1 comps, because he won't always be on that perfect rotation with the stun round. Unless, I guess, you don't book him, you book him for 4 turns, then you can finagle it and make it work that way. The other place I use him, and we won't showcase it just because it requires me to change out his gear a ton. This is where I will change out his gear. So in here, I don't have to change out his gear because it still works, and that's where I use him to farm the Magma Dragon. This is what I want. This is the reward I want. These are to make the fatal gear. So we use this team. It's, I believe, 110 to 130. Yeah, 113 was my fastest time using this team. Who would have thought War Chief would be the OP champion at the Doom Tower? But for the Magma Dragon, he's the boss. This works absolutely amazing, and it works on auto, which is a great thing too. So I can actually use the multi battles. You can see there's 0 because I have no keys, so I can't run this. But very efficient, great way to use them. Again, we're using the 2 Royal Guards. My Royal Guards are permanently at 75% crit rate, so I have to keep that in mind. I pretty much have to use them exclusively with Bad L now, but the good news is I do. There's no point where I'm going to use a Royal Guard without Bad L anymore, so they are a trio indeed, which is funny because they're basically mortal enemies, I think, in the campaign. But that wraps up my Bad L KAZAR showcase review. Everywhere. You can use them everywhere. You can use them in the clan boss, which I didn't. You can use them in the Fire Knight, but obviously all dungeons, Minotaur farming, I'm sure you could use them there to help, you know, if you're trying to do multiple at the same time. You could probably use him and maybe Ethos with 3 champions that you're leveling up at the same time. Bet you they could get it done, because that's just, Bad L just allows that to happen. So all the merrier, at least. It's crazy how amazing a champion he is. I'm happy to get him. I'm ecstatic. I'm glad I could share him with you today. Most importantly, we are nearing the end of the year. I'll probably have one more video out before then, but in case I don't see you, I want to make sure that you have a wonderful new year, that you ring in the new year with the hope and optimism that I think is going to come with 2021, with all the changes happening and with COVID. The end is near. Hopefully, we are seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, but do not let up your guard on New Year's. Please stay safe, practice social distancing, stick to those in your bubble that you know are safe as well, so that you don't end up spending the new year sick and potentially really sick. I want to see you in the new year. Can't afford to lose the sub. I'm just kidding. I care about you guys. I want you guys to make sure that you're safe and healthy in 2021. So please practice social distancing, stay safe, be kind to one another, and I'll see you in the next video.